Good afternoon, everybody. I am going to be canning some carrots today, so I thought I'd bring you along and show you how I do that process. I hope you're all doing well today, and just come along with me on this little adventure. I'm just going to wash these off briefly because I'm going to take all the skins off. This is just a big bag I got at one of the grocery stores. But I just wanted to do a few extra carrots up. So I'm going to keep rinsing these off for a little bit, and then I'll take you over and we'll get them peeled. Okay, I'm just going to cut the ends off of each end. And I'll dump them down here in this other bucket. And then I'm just going to take my Rotatool again. I love this peeler. And just simply take that top layer off. And the chickens will get a treat today because I will give them all of these trimmings off of the carrots. And they'll enjoy that and make me some good fresh eggs. So I'm going to keep peeling these until I get them all done, and then I'll bring you back when I start chopping them up. Okay, I've washed and rinsed off the carrots after I peeled them, and now I'm going to cut them up in circles. Okay, I'm going to cut these in just slices. On this wider end, I'm just going to slice it down and probably cut it in fours to make the pieces not so big. Now, I love cooked carrots, but I also like to do these to put in soups and stews, throw some in a stir fry if I'm doing a quick stir fry and don't have any in the refrigerator and I just want to add some carrots. They're just really good to have. I really like them to have when I'm doing chicken noodle soup or chicken soup. That's my favorite uses, probably, other than eating them, just carrots. And if I cook the carrots, if they're just plain ones I've canned with just salt, when I cook them I'll add a little butter, a little pepper, a little brown sugar, and a little ginger powder to them when I heat them up. And they're really good that way. They're good just to add salt and pepper and butter to them. Just ever how you like to eat your carrots. But they're so, I think they're so much better than what you buy in the store. And if you can home grow carrots, oh my gosh, you guys, the flavor that you get from homegrown carrots compared to what we purchase in the grocery store, it's unreal, the difference. They taste so much better. Okay, I'm going to keep doing this, and as soon as I get them all cut up, I will bring you back. Okay, I've got them all sliced, so now we're going to put them into our jars. And I'm doing these cold packed, so I'll do them up to a 1-inch headspace. I'm thinking maybe I'm going to get 3 to 4 paint, hopefully. And this is enough for me and Jeff for a meal if that's what we're just as a side dish. Okay, so I'm gonna set these to the side for right now and I'll bring you back. Okay guys, I only had 4 quarts of what carrots I had, so we're gonna do some celery to can along with that because the time for those is the same. So I'm gonna cut up some celery. I cut the ends off like this that I don't use, and I put these in a plastic bag in my freezer. So when I do stock, I throw these in with it. Now I will dehydrate these leaves and use them just to throw into stuff for seasonings too. And I also have celery I've dehydrated. But today I'm going to can this up just so we'll have a full canner. I had some extra in the refrigerator. And we'll cut this up to use, cutting off any little bad spots. But the larger end, I'll just kind of cut sideways on that one. And then I'm just going to slice it about like that. And again, I'll use these making soups, any kind of stew. I'll use this in stir fry because I love celery cooked. I don't eat it by itself, but I like it in stuff. I do like it raw. So I'm going to keep cutting these up until I'm ready to fill my jars, and then I'll bring you back. Okay guys, I filled 1 jar with the rest of the carrots. Whoops. And celery. I did 1 full jar of celery, and one's just shy of the 1-inch headspace, but I'll fill the liquid up to that point. So let me get my liquid together and I'll be back. Okay, now I'm going to add my spices that I want in my jars. And if I can find my measuring spoons. I'm going to do a little pepper, but about 1/8 of a teaspoon. I don't want to overwhelm with my pepper flavor. I can add it later if I want a little more. And I'm only doing this in the jars that I have my carrots in. Then I'm going to add a teaspoon of minced onions to all my jars. a half a teaspoon of garlic powder. You know, because I love some garlic. And then I'm going to do a half a teaspoon of pink Himalayan salt. Okay, so that's it for my spices. For my liquid, I'm going to use some of the chicken stock I canned last May from some of the chickens I processed. So I'm just going to pour it over into my jars, and then once I get them, I'll debubble and see if we need to add more liquid. We'll just get them started here and let them settle a little bit. And it gets a little bit of sediment in the bottom of the jar as it settles. So I'm trying not to get all of that out in it. It doesn't hurt anything. It's just not as attractive. It tastes fine. I'll open my other jar. Move my jars around a little bit. Okay. And like I said with this one, since it's less celery, I'm going to just fill the jar all the way up to the 1-inch mark with the rest of my broth. Let me find my little debubbling tool I had laying around here somewhere. Okay, and I'm just going to go down and this kind of mixes your seasonings up too a little bit into your jar. And the headspace on this one stayed good because it was the one that had less product in it. So I'm going to move it over to the side. That one may need just a hair more liquid. Carrots are probably going to have more bubbles than the... And then I want to push everything back down, make sure everything's under my liquid. I think I'll take a couple out of that one. We'll see how they... And there's my headspace is good on that one. This is my mixture of the celery and carrots. And that one's pretty good. This is one of my blue mason jars. It's You notice the color's a little different. All right. Those will be fine. All right. They smell good with just the garlic and the onions, the minced onions. All right, this one needs just a hair more liquid. Alright. It's just a little bit high. So I can stuff him down in that jar. That looks better. Alright, now I'm going to clean my rims off. Let me get my vinegar. Alright, I've dipped my towel in white vinegar and I'm just going to clean the rims off. Just make sure no pepper flakes or anything's on there that might keep it from sealing. There's no oiliness, or well, you could have got a little bit of oil from greasiness, I guess, from chicken broth. But it'll break all that off. Alright, so we got those off. We're going to take our lids and put them on each jar. Get to my rings. I've laid everything over here in front of where my other stuff is. I'm just doing finger tight. Finger tight. Move that one out of the way. Now I like my lid to match the front of my jar. You don't have to do that. My sisters and my mama tell me I'm crazy, but that's just something I'm just a little OCD about, I guess. I just think it looks better. Doesn't matter. It doesn't can any better. Doesn't do anything different. You can put them on any way you want. That's just one of my little things that I do. You can do it any way you want to do it. But I just think, especially if you're giving it as a gift or something to somebody, it makes a prettier presentation. And if you're in the habit of doing it, you do it that way all the time. Alright, finger tight. And I've just had my lid soaking in some warm water. You don't even have to do that if you're pressure canning anymore, but just old habits of doing things. I still do. It keeps them. Alright, finger tight again. And let me get everything moved over and we'll get everything in the canner. Okay, before I load the canner, this is my All-American canner. They do not have gaskets, so you've got metal to metal. So you can either take a little bit of Vaseline or some oil and just go around the rim. I don't do this every single time, but frequently, so because you don't want to get metal to metal and then not be able to get your canner open. You have a gasket on like your Prestos and some of the other canners. And that's all I do is just run around this rim, because the other piece will settle against this. And then I'm going to get me a 3-inch level of water. I've got my jar rack in here. I'll get the water in and the jars in, and I'll bring you back. Okay. Got my water in. And I just take my debubbler and mark it, because with this canner and my smaller All-American canner, you have to have 3 inches of water in the canner. And if you mark, whoops, move it around, if I could hold on to it, it's right at my line. So I'm going to get my jars and we'll get them put in. Now all of this is cold because I'm using cold products. If I had hot products, hot vegetables, hot liquid, the water inside would be hot. Because you don't want to have like a thermal shock and your jars crack or burst. Got 7. I could get 8 in here if I had another one, but these will be fine. Let me find my lid. Now these lids are a little different. I'll have to move you back. You kind of want to settle it in evenly. Okay, if you see here, there's a latch here that's going to go under this lip. There's an arrow here that you need to line up with this notch. So you're just going to turn it on to there. You want to kind of make sure it's kind of evenly balanced all the way around. And you want to lock down 2 at a time across from each other. So I'm doing this one and the one back here. Then I'll do this one. I like to wind them out from the last time I can. Then we'll go across the canner to here. We'll do this one down. Then we'll get this one. And then we'll come back across the canner to this side and we'll get this one. Now we're going to turn our gas on, light our eye, and we're going to let this heat up. We're going to get a steady stream that you can actually see of air coming out of here. Once that happens, we're going to let that go for 10 minutes. I'll bring you back once we're to the 10-minute streaming part. Okay, I've got a steady stream. You can't hardly see it on the camera. There you can. So it's been going for about 10 minutes. So I'm going to put my 15 pounds of pressure on. And once that gets up to rocking, or 15 pounds over here, that's what we'll go with. Okay, my dial's sitting on about 12, a little bit above 12. I want it to be at 11 for the dial gauge. So I've turned it down, and that's where I'm going to leave it. And I'm going to start my processing count time now for 30 minutes. Okay, 30 minutes is up. Turning it off. And I'm going to let it come down off pressure, and then we'll take it out of the canner. Alright, we're down to 0. No air coming out. So we're gonna, like before, open opposite sides as we tighten them. There it goes. Sometimes they're hard to get started. Okay. You want to turn this one to unlock that. Oh, one of my things didn't fall down. The toggles. Okay. Turn it. Lift it away from you. Alright. They're still steaming a little bit. I'm going to give them about 5 minutes, kind of letting that canner vent, and then I'll take them out. Okay, 5 minutes is up. We're going to take our lid off. Set it to the side. Let me get a hold to my... Alright. There's our jar. That's the mix jar. Let me get the rest of them out and I'll bring you right back. You can see our water looks good and clear, so we didn't have any siphoning, so we should be good. Okay, you can see them. They're still boiling a little. There went a ping. One sealed already. And there you can see how much the celery cooked up. Now please ignore the dryer. I'm multitasking today. But these will settle once they cool off a little bit. But I think my headspace looks pretty good and it's going to be okay. But thank you guys for watching with me. I hope you enjoyed the video and I'll see you next time. Okay guys, everything's sealed. Here's the next morning. There's the mix jar and then the two with just the celery. I'm going to take the lids. They're all sealed. I'll take the lids off and label them and put them on my shelves. Thanks for watching.